it down. This is just a cut up plastic garbage bag. And just a cut up paper bag. And bada bing. Gotta love grocery bags. I use them all the time when I'm staining, painting, oiling. Great to use. And then the plastic bag underneath is going to give me a little extra just in case it seeps through the bag. Gotta pick it up with that. Just going to be using a regular cheap oil brush. Made in Indonesia. Pure bristle. And Phoebe's neatswood oil. That's all it's going to be. Put a little bit in here. Make sure you put that cap back on because you don't want to spill it. Dip it in and go to town. Alright. Now I'll leave those to dry up pretty much overnight. I'm not going to touch these until tomorrow morning. And then I'll start the staining and coloring process on these. Alright, next is the dyeing part. Not a very fun part, but I'm just going to use black. I'm going to do the outside edges here, all the way around this, and then inside these areas here, and then I'm going to do the D in black. Hopefully that'll look alright. I got this whole, basically it's a 2x4. I drilled 2-inch holes with a hole sign to it, added a couple pieces of wood underneath there, and I can load these cups into it. Whatever colors or whatever I want to put in there. Less likely to tip over. Actually, it's not going to tip over. I know that for a fact. So. Get yourself a decent brush for this. When you get it going, get some dye in there. You can actually just drop it right onto these areas inside here and it'll spread out on its own if you do it right without making a mess here. The worst part about dyeing. Try not to make a mess. And I'm not liking this brush actually. I might switch it out to a different one. Alright, gave these a chance to dry up from the dye job that I did. Next is going to be the tan coat, at least the first layer of tan coat. Going to use just a regular white varnish brush. Not much to this, same thing I used when I did the oiling, except for this time when I do this, I'm going to keep an eye out for any of these little bristles that pop off and get stuck in here. I want to pull those out because those will dry up and they will stick in there. When I do the oiling and that happens, those just dry up and they just pull right off. That's not a big deal, but these with this tan coat, they'll get stuck right in it and it'll be a pain in the butt when it dries to get them off, so just got to pay attention to that. But here we go. Alright, both those done. I'll let those dry for probably at least an hour, maybe two. And then we'll get to the antiquing. Alright, that's dried up nice. Real good on both these. Now I'm going to do the antique process. I'm going to use the Fibings medium brown antique on this. And I'll be using a toothbrush to really get in there. I want to try and keep it inside of these areas where I want it, because I don't want it to go into these lines here, because this is going to be my sewing lines. And you get antique paste in there when you go sewing. It's going to get on the sewing thread, and it's going to look pretty horrible, so I'm trying to keep it as clean as I can. So, camera set up, I'll get started. Good gob on there. Ooh, it's a lot. Get my paper towels and start wiping down. Alright, so you can see the difference in the antique paste and with it and without it. This is with the paste, without the paste. You can see the difference. It really gets down in the lines and really brings everything out. So I'll do this one next, and then I'll let this dry for a bit, and I'll be able to hit it with the tan coat again. Alright, get the final coat of tan coat on here. Alright, let that dry. Alright, while that is drying, I got to make a couple of strap ends and a couple of welders buckle guards here, buckle ends. So I'll make those out of these right here. I'm going to need 4 of each of these. Alright, I gotta skive the back of a couple of these just to get them to fold over a little bit easier. I'll show you how I do that on this one. I'm left-handed, but this skiver that I'm using is meant for a righty to kind of work toward yourself, but I gotta work away from myself. If only they'd make these for lefties too, that would be great. But the little bit I've been using it, I've kind of gotten pretty good at it, just doing this way. Oil all these pieces up. Alright, now I'm going to be punching some holes in this for sewing later on. And man, can I not see very well, that's for sure. Let's see here. I know, I'll be back. Alright, now I got some better light on here. That is one of the things that I'm going to work on, is getting some better lighting in this garage. By the way, this is just a 2.5 to 3 millimeter set of got these from Weber. There's a 6-prong, 4-prong, 2-prong, and a single prong. And if I can get much done to this, luckily there's a lot of straight lines on this, so I can get most of this done with the 6-prong. Won't take as long, but still going to suck. So what I want to do is hit right here first. Make sure I'm inside that line before I do it. Whatever I do on this side, I'm going to do on the other side. Once it goes all the way through, I'm going to put my finger down here, just give it a nice little back and forth, and it'll pull right out. So I'm going to do the exact same thing over here that I just did there, so that way, when I stitch this, stitch lines match up, or at least as close as they can anyways. All the way through, same thing. Last hole first time, just go right on up. So make sure I'm on it. Oh man, there it is. Alright. Back of that's all stitched up. That's good. Now I gotta do the other one. Yay. Alright, we're gonna be gluing the liner to the back of my leather pieces here. This is just a 2 to 3 ounce chap leather. I believe it actually calls for a 3 to 4, but 2 to 3 ounce will work just fine too. This is what's gonna sit against my skin when I wear these. I took a pen already, and I put my leather pieces down here, as you can see on the back side, and then I just marked all the way around these so I have a line so I know where to try and keep the glue as best as I can. If I go outside of that line, it's okay, but I would like to try and keep it inside that line because it'll be less of a mess if I can do that. If not, it's not a big deal. I'm going to be trimming these out once I get these sewn up and everything, and I'm just using Barge's all-purpose cement. So let's get started. Make sure you have good ventilation when doing this in a room because this stuff stinks. new can because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough, but I'm pretty sure I have enough. Just be careful. I said, screw it, I'm going to get a new can. Plus this one is starting to dry up pretty good, I think. You know what, I think I'm going to switch to the new can just because it looks better right now. Alright, a few minutes to dry up. I want it to get just a little tacky, and when you put these together, it's going to stick real good. Alright, let that dry up pretty good. It's getting pretty tacky, which is exactly what we want. Next, to flip this over and try this, lay this in here as best as possible, because once it goes on, you ain't going to be able to move it. Alright, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to use this paper bag right here. I'm going to put that over it. And I'm going to put as much weight on this thing as I can. Just to try and get that to stick on there. Leave that there for a while, let that dry up. I'm just going to do this one for now because I only have so many weights and I want to make sure I get enough weight on here. Once this dries for at least a half an hour, I'll come back and do the next one. Alright, I already took the liberty of doing just the bottom part. I used my awl and I poked through every one of these holes down here. I'm going to do this in stages. Normally I wouldn't sew this in stages, but this is a lot of sewing to do, especially where there's two of them. I like to hand sew. I enjoy it, but it hurts my hands after a little while. Especially if I'm hand sewing just like your pancake sheath. I love doing pancake sheaths. These are super easy to sew up. That's why I'm going to do this in different stages. Normally, if I had a sewing machine, I'd do this all in one shot, but I don't have a sewing machine, saving up for one right now. I'm going to do just the bottom section down here. You can see there's a little line right here and a little line right here. And I'm going to start on the hole just above that line. I'm going to sew all the way down here and finish on that exact hole on this side just above the line. So when I come back through and do this top section, I'm going to do this whole top section in one shot. I'm going to start on that exact hole where I finished, and it's going to make it look like it's one long continuous. And then I'll do these middle ones here separately by themselves. Alright, for sewing, I always have a couple of awls with me. These are just some cheapy craft tools that I have. I use John James needles. I've never used anything else, the only thing I've ever had. I also use Ritza Tiger thread. This is 8mm. This is just white this time, but I have quite a few different colors. I've also never used anything but 8mm Ritza Tiger thread, and I probably never will use anything else unless I get a sewing machine. Basically just clamp this down just in case so it doesn't move while I'm sewing. Usually don't have any issues with it, but just to be sure. Oh, and another thing that I will need is a set of pliers. Where are my pliers? Oh, here. These are quite pliers that I want. Just a little set of pliers or something like that, just to help try. Sometimes you need help pulling these needles through. Will help to have. So let me get set up here and we'll get started. Alright, got my piece here in the stitching saddle, or the stitching pony technically. Going to take us some thread here, and when doing this you always want to make sure you have at least 4 times the length because it's not this distance, it's going in and out over and over again that's going to use up your distance. So you always want to make sure you got at least 4 times the amount. So what I like to do is pull it to length that I'm going to do. There's 1. There's 2. 3. And there's 4. But I'm going to go a little bit more because thread's not that expensive, and you're better off to have a little bit too much than a little bit not enough. It's a pain in the butt to go back through and just to re-sew a few holes. So always go a little bit more. So I'm going to go 5, and just because, we're going to go 6. Sometimes 6 is better to do anyways. That way you know for a fact you're going to know. So I'm going to go 6. That on enough. Now's the fun part, trying to get this onto the needles. Getting a little older, my eyesight's not as good, but usually not too bad here. Yeah, I got it first try, alright. I'm going to pull it right up over the needle. Put the needle right through it like that. And then pull this down. Tighten that up. Good to go. I'll do the exact same thing with the other side. Trim this just a bit, get it better and nice. Do the same thing. Pull it up over the tip, and it takes you a few attempts to get used to doing that, but once you've done it a few times, it's actually pretty easy to put the needle right through that. Then what you're going to want to do is put this through your first hole and pull it till you're in the middle. Basically until your needles touch. That should be pretty close to your middle right there. That's pretty good. Alright, I'm going to go back over a few of my first holes here with my awl, just to open these up a little bit. Go slow, you don't need to punch through really hard, just a little bit of pressure and they'll go through. When you do this, you want to make sure you do your needle, your stitch the exact same way every single time, and then your stitches will look the same every single time. I always go through on the flesh side, my tooled side or whatever. That's where I start. I'm going to go through there first, and then I'm going to come through the back way. This is usually where you want a pair of pliers. Ooh. And then you're going to pull those together. I always do a little wrap on it and pull it tight. Ding. And do the exact same thing all the way down. Finally, sewing on this. Holy cow, that sucked. Holy cow, that sucked. Man, I don't want to do that again for a while. Model. Alright, now I'm going to trim this up. Got a good blade on here. I'm going to get right up along the edge, and instead of doing it way up here, I want to get way down low like this, so I'm less likely to cut into my actual piece that I'm working on. It would be pretty devastating to do that at this point stage, so go slow. Make sure you got a good blade. If you got a good sharp blade, this is going to get edged, sanded here in a little bit anyways. Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, there's that. Alright, going to give the edges a little trim here. This is a 1, just a craft tool. Go around the outside of this. Also one of my favorite things to do. Alright. Now we're done. A little gum tragacanth in here. Around the edge, burnish the edges. Come back and stain it. And then put the hardware on here that I have. And this will be done. Alright, got these about finished up. Did the edges. I did a twofer on the edges. I used some gum tragacanth first. Put that along the edges, just used the slicker as normal. After it dried, I came back through and I used some token oil and did the same thing. Now I just need to dye the edges and put the hardware on, and they'll be done. I got this from Maker's Leather Supply. It's an edge dyer. Definitely a game changer. I've only used it once, but it's a lot easier to put this on. So let's go ahead and do one, just to let people know that if you do purchase this, the lid itself just comes right off. It's just a pull off, but the cap to fill these up are actually reverse threaded, so be careful when you buy it. Make sure you open it the right way. Just like that. Pretty easy. I wish I'd have bought one of these a long time ago. Alright, there's that one. I'll do the next one. Let those dry, and then we'll be putting the hardware on and we'll be done. I get to pop these suckers off. It's always fun. Watch your eyes. Ooh, that makes a mess. Use the same rivet tool, the rounded part. We're going to round that over a bit. Nice and noisy. I like to use this old ball peen hammer. Give it just a little bit more. Make sure there's no sharp edges on there. just got the strap ends I got to put on here, and this will finish it up. Watch your eyes again. Ooh. Finish up with the ball peen. Alright, that should do it. I got a freaking mess on my hands with all this stuff I got laying around here. Alright, there's the first full set done. I swapped them as far as the buckles go. The other one I put the buckles on this side and these straps are on the other side. You can see when I did that, the straps will be away from me while I'm welding. So hopefully that doesn't